And welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the deferred sales trust is an amazing way for you to exit highly appreciated businesses, real estate, cryptocurrency, defer millions of dollars of capital gains tax so you can unlock freedom and flexibility with your wealth plan. My name is Brett Swartz, and I'm the host of today's show. We're also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets as well. So we appreciate everyone watching on YouTube there, as well as our Capital Gains Tax Solutions YouTube channel. And each and every episode, we're joined by some of the best real estate, financial, and wealth minds in the world, where they share their ideas and deal stories. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. Today's guest is no exception to the amazing guests that we have on the show and get to interview every single day. In fact, he is out of the great state of Missouri. In his early days, he was a restaurant manager, but he became a turnaround specialist for distressed restaurants. He was quickly able to diagnose the main problems and how employees are being treated. And so he has taken this expertise, and he's done this with franchises, and he's using some simple principles to help people explore franchising. And he figures out what the problems and challenges are, and then he helps people create wealth with franchises, and so much more. Please welcome to the show with me, Greg Mohr. Greg, how are we doing today, sir?
Great, fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate you having me, sir.
Absolutely. And for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Right. Well, I first got my start, Brett, in franchising way back in the late 70s, kind of dating myself there. And we, in high school, when we're all first getting a job, my first job was what a lot of us did was fast food restaurants. And I got involved with Taco Bell, of all things. And unbeknownst to myself at the time, I was actually working for a master franchisor over there. She owned about 50 restaurants throughout the Woodland, California, Sacramento, California area. And I helped her with her restaurants, building them up, became a manager. And that's when I found out, she owned 50 restaurants. And I helped her build up her restaurants. And it was just a great experience going into each and every Taco Bell, because it was the same thing. It was a great playbook that they had for each location. So I just had a really good time with that. I moved on then to other restaurant management, another restaurant management job, Lions Restaurant, got a degree in electrical engineering and physics, went on to become a microelectronic circuit engineer. Bought a couple of real estate properties for rentals. Me and a friend of mine got a dry cleaners, privately owned dry cleaners, some storage units. Did those while we were working full time as well. I got a degree in business at that point in time, a master's degree in business after that. Read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that just about ruined my corporate career for me. I realized that there's got to be something better out there, and I wanted to go out there and do it. So I got out of the microelectronic circuit field with Motorola Semiconductor. And I said, I don't have the latest, greatest idea, but that franchising thing was just fantastic back then when I was doing it. I love that. So I went out and went click happy, had all these franchise development people calling me, but I finally got a hold of a franchise consultant who knew they existed. I certainly did not. And they helped me streamline the process, made it a whole lot clearer to determine my path, where I wanted to go with that. So got into a great franchise system, ran that for a while, but I decided that I really liked what that franchise consultant did. So I went back and asked them, what do you do? Show me how you do that. I love that. That sounds wonderful. Working with all sorts of interesting people throughout the United States and all over the world, actually. So did that about 10, 12 years ago now, and haven't looked back since.
Amazing. Greg Mohr, so much there. I'm so excited to dive into this. And we're going to talk about building wealth in franchises. Also, we're going to touch on this, like the 7 mistakes franchises make when they're selling. But before we go there, Greg, I want to take one other step back. I believe you've all been given certain gifts in this life, and these gifts have been given us to be a blessing and help to others. So perhaps go to the younger days for Greg when growing up. What do you feel like were just kind of the natural gifts or strengths that you had, one or two, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
Working with others, helping other people is what I've always really enjoyed. And it's always just been a gift. In my restaurant management days, I could really just talk to people, relate with people, and really get their feelings and their side of it on that. That really is what would help me out. And I think a lot of it when we first start out, in the world of business and in the world of jobs, that sort of thing, working in the restaurant business really helps people out a lot with getting to know really your strengths and weaknesses about, dealing with both folks. And I was just always had a nice gift for being able to work with people and really see things from their point of view on there. So that really was a blessing, and that really helped me out. I trained a lot of engineers at the time when I was doing the engineering work as well. And I really helped a lot of people learn a lot about our software systems that we had when we brought in a new one. So I trained, a couple hundred engineers, always helped them. I was always there helping people. And I've always just been able to get along great with people and really just, look at things from their point of view and really help them grow and become a better person as well as myself.
Absolutely love it. That's so great. With that in mind, let's dive right into the topic at hand, which is building wealth in franchises. So Greg, what would you say is the number one secret to doing just that? See if we still have Greg. It might be delayed a little bit. We're talking with Greg Mohr, franchisemaven.com, franchisemaven.com. So Greg, the question was this: building wealth in franchises, what would you say is the number one secret to doing just that?
The number one secret, Brett, to building wealth in franchising is, first off, you got to get started with a great franchise system as well. So that is the real critical thing, is looking at the type of franchise that you want to get into that you feel good about. So first start is investigating different franchises and figuring out which is the best cultural fit for you, which is the best fit for your skills and services. So we look at where have you been, where are you at, where do you want to be, where have you been? That brings your skill set to the table. So you want to make certain that that franchisor is looking for your skill set, people just like you in a successful franchise system. So that's number one. Once you get into that good one, and that's what I help people with, exactly that, is educate them about franchising and figure out which ones are looking for people like them and which franchises you are looking for. Once you get that done, you've got into a great system, and that can be an emerging franchise. That could be one that's been around for, years and years and got hundreds of franchises. That just depends on what you're looking for there. Then you follow the playbook. What I found when I put people into the franchise system is that franchises will allow you to be creative. But when you first start with the franchise system, what you want to do is follow that playbook before you get too creative on that, before you start, thinking outside the box sort of thing, is really get to know that franchise system and that franchisor. They are going to have that playbook for you outlined, step 1, step 2, step 3. Follow that, do what they say, and then get creative. I've had people get creative just a little too early in the process, and they get off to kind of a rocky start with that. But follow that playbook. Do what the franchisor tells you to do. They've done it before. That's why you're getting involved in a franchise in the first place. Once that's done, step number 3.
I gotta tell you, this is so much. This is so good, Greg. And this is great. I got to slow down just a little bit. And I love the content. This is so great. So secret number 1, I think we'll break this down to secrets and steps, right? But secret step number 1, you must get started with a great franchise. So pick an amazing franchise, one that has the cultural fit for you. I also probably would say perhaps it's the value fit as well, right? And then one where your unique skill set or background is going to weave in with that, right? It's going to fit in with exactly what they're looking for as well, what you're looking for, right? It's got to be kind of like a match, right? Kind of like a marriage, perhaps, right? That's step number 1. Is that? Can you give me a confirmation for that? Did I get that first one right?
Yes, exactly right, Brett. Exactly what you got to do. Skill set match, cultural match. You got to know those people. You got to like the people. You got to believe in them. And
great. Number two would be follow the playbook, right? Which I'd imagine the entrepreneur who wants to start the franchise naturally is perhaps the more creative one, or naturally the one who's more of a maverick to do it themselves. That's part of why they are willing to take this risk to start this franchise, right? But what you're saying is you got to perhaps not push that away completely, but just hold off on that, right? Or practice and delayed patience on that, let's just say, and follow the playbook, get that mastered down. And then there could be room for creativity. Otherwise, you're going to get it to a rocky start. Is that a fair summary, number 2?
That is absolutely correct. Yes. Just follow that playbook. Basic, simple thing. They've got it outlined. That's what you paid for. Follow that, and you're off to a good start.
Perfect. Now let's dive right into 3. What's step number 3 or secret number 3?
Secret number 3 is make certain that business does not revolve around you. Okay. So franchises will some of them will let you be semi-absentee, which is not revolving around you in the first place. You hire a manager, you manage the manager, you manage profit and loss statements. Some franchises are going to prefer and say that you have to do it full-time. So you can't have another job or anything. You're just going to be doing that franchise. Either way, even if the franchise wants you to do it full time, you do not want that franchise, that business to revolve around you. Because if you decide your exit plan is going to be to sell it at some point in time, if that business revolves around you, that's going to be more of a challenge to sell. So make certain that business does not revolve around you. It also gives you time to go on vacation whenever you want. If that business, and franchise doesn't revolve around you, you've got a manager running it. So that's the key to your long-term success and your exit strategy. Or
Okay. I got you. Let me slow down again. This is great. I'm loving all of this, right? And I think this is the nuance here, right? Make sure the business does not evolve around you for a number of reasons, right? Have a life vacation, be able to work-life balance. Let's imagine that, but also actually be able to exit at some point. But here's the key: what is the secret to making sure that the business does not evolve around you? Walk us through what some of the nuances that people miss and maybe take years to get, break the bad habits. What are they doing now to make sure that it's not just revolving around them?
Great question, Brett. You've got to hire the right people. You got to have the good staff on that. And you've got to train them, and you got to have backups. In my restaurant management days on that, when I was a restaurant manager, I did that full time, but I always had backup people. So I had a couple assistant managers, which were, they worked full time, they did the things. But as far as my employees go, I always had people that knew how to run the business itself as well. So I trained my employees to run it. So if I couldn't make it and something happened to my two assistant managers and they couldn't make it, I had what was called relief managers. So I had people always in place to be able to run that business for me, or for any of my assistants, if all of us got sick or something happened, we couldn't be there. So the key is to get those people trained so that they can replace any key individuals that you have in that business itself. And that was the key to my success as a restaurant manager. And that'll be your key to success in any business that you get into, is getting those people trained right.
Got it. Okay. So that's amazing. That makes perfect sense. Hire the right people, train them, and have backups, right? And have backups to the backups. So walk us through the most efficient way that you've been able to do that. You find the right person, and you're, what does that look like when you're saying train them? Like, walk us through your best way to train them and how you be able to repeat that, a repeatable process.
Sure. Great question, Brett. It starts out from the beginning when you hire that person. So whenever you're looking at somebody to hire, you're not looking at just hiring another employee to fill a position. What you're looking for there is, when you're looking at those people that you bring on, is potential managers of that business itself. That's what I always did. When I was in my restaurant days, that's what I did exactly. Whether they're going to be a host, a hostess, a waiter, a bartender or cook, bus person, it doesn't matter. I'm looking at them like, has this person got what it takes to run this business? So each and every person, I wanted to make certain when I was looking at them and I was training them, and when I was hiring them and interviewing them, that they had what it takes to run that business. So I wanted to make sure I had the top quality people, good outgoing people, especially in the restaurant industry, because you'll be always dealing with people in that one. But in any business, it works that way as well, is start from the beginning and look at every person that you're going to hire as your potential next manager.
Got it. So it's like, do I have the belief that at least at some time in the future, this person could run the business, right? Like, they have that type of potential in their leadership, their quality of attention to detail, their quality of outgoing and connecting with people. Is that a fair summary on that one?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay, excellent. I guess we're doing so well here. We got so much great content. Let's continue. What would you say is the number 4 step or secret to building wealth in franchises? And then after that, we'll touch on the seven mistakes that sellers make when to avoid when selling a franchise. So go ahead. What would you say is the next secret? And then we'll go into the 7.
So building wealth in franchising, that's secret. Now you've got everybody hired. You've got the right people in place. The business doesn't revolve around you. Now, what are you going to do next? So 2 different ways to go on that one. There is horizontal growth, where you're picking up more territories. In franchising, for the most part, each franchise gives you a protected territory where no other franchisee can come in. So you can now pick up more territories. You've got that business running in your first territory. Everything's perfect. It's not revolved around you. You've got the right people in place. Now you think about moving on to another territory. So you pick up an adjacent territory in there, start building up that one, and then another one. So you can do horizontal growth with the same franchise. You encompass now a bigger territory, maybe coming and taking on your whole state. The other way to do that is, if you don't want to do it geographically and grow in a large business that way, you do it vertically. So you look at industries and franchise organizations that have more than one franchise in the organization, authority brands, Belfour Group, neighborly brands, where you have maybe up to 20 different franchises in that same group. So now what you do, let's take the home services industry, for instance. You're doing the groundskeeping on there. Your grounds guys, neighborly group. Okay. Now you want to pick up another franchise within the same territory. So you pick up Molly Maids. So now you can do the house cleaning for people. So once you get in the door with them doing the groundskeeping, you say, well, why don't I send one of my housekeepers over and do a cleaning for you? You let me know what you think. And now we can take care of your housekeeping for you as well. Mr. Electric, Mr. Appliance, something like that. Authority brands, Mr. Sparky, Mr. Plumber, 1 hour AC. So what you basically are doing now is then owning the home. So now you have the same territory, but now you have many different verticals in that territory itself. So you are now marketing and advertising to the same people, but you own the home. And you can do the same thing with businesses on that, with different business things as well. So vertical growth and horizontal growth are the two different ways to go. We can get into more into horizontal growth with master franchising, where you can be the right-hand person of the franchisor. You buy a huge territory to begin with. You have your pilot unit, and then from the pilot unit, then you sell the individual territories and train those people to work that way as well. So many different ways, Brett, to grow wealth in franchising.
Fascinating. By the way, we're talking with Greg Mohr, Mohr, and you can find him at franchisemaven.com. That's franchisemaven, MAVEN.com. Greg, this is amazing. I know our listeners are loving it. Let's dive into the next thing that we promised we talk about, which is the 7 mistakes to avoid when selling a franchise. So you can rapid fire all 7. I won't even slow you down unless there's something just really going to stick out. I got to pause, but just go. What do you say? The 7 mistakes when selling a franchise.
So first of all, when you're getting into a franchise, 7 mistakes that you want to look for there is you've got to understand the business and industry to begin with. You don't have to be exactly knowledgeable about it, but know that business and industry. That way, when you go to sell it, you've got it down. You learned about it. Always know the business and industry that you're getting into.
Yeah, sorry, let me pause. I think I missaid it. It's actually 7 mistakes to avoid when selecting a franchise. Although I think we're also gonna bonus this at the end. We're gonna maybe try to come up with 7 when selling. Let's do when selecting a franchise. Sorry about that, because I think that's what you had put in the notes there. So let's start with when selecting a franchise. Okay, go.
We'll start with that. Okay, mistake number 1, not understanding the business and industry. Always understand the business and industry. When you work with me, we'll make certain that you know that business and industry inside and out. Doesn't mean you have to ever have been involved in it, but we will make sure you do it. Not enough capital. Mistake number 2. One thing I'm going to make certain is that you do have enough capital for that franchise. The franchisor is going to have capital requirements as well. You don't want to run out of money. Nobody wants you to run out of money, so make certain you have enough capital. Just because the franchise says it's an investment, franchise fee of $50,000, there's still a total investment. We'll go over that together. Always make sure you have enough of that. Mistake number 3, don't let what's in fashion cloud your judgment. I get a lot of people that say, what is the hottest great franchise? May be hot now, may not be hot tomorrow. It may still be hot tomorrow. So, but just don't let that cloud your judgment. Do a lot of educate yourself. We'll make certain you're well educated on it. Mistake number 4, you'll be rich in a year or 2. No, you will not be rich in a year or 2. More than likely, probably not. It will take a while to build up the business, as it takes with anything else. It is not a get rich quick scheme, but it is great for a long-term investment. Mistake number 5 is do not dismiss funding. There are many different ways to fund the franchise itself. My investors love using other people's money to do it. As long as the investment services are debt, they are good to go. Keep in mind, we can also do a 401k or IRA rollover into a self-directed fund where you're not going into debt. You're using your own money for that. But don't dismiss funding. Always check that out. Mistake number 6, always speak to enough existing franchises. So not speaking to existing franchises is a mistake. You want to talk to as many existing franchisees as it takes for you to get a good feel for the business and to verify and validate everything that franchisor told you. The people that I have you talk with the franchisees are brutally honest with you. They will let you know exactly what's going on, and they're great people. They're going to be your friends. They're going to help you grow your business. Also, mistake number 7, not making use of free experts. I have free experts for you. I'll have franchise attorneys. I'll have CPAs for you. I'll have funding people for you. In addition to that, you've got your local SCORE chapter, SCORE, that you can go to. I used the SCORE chapter when I was looking at my first franchise. So always take care of them. Chamber of Commerce, also another good source for you.
Oh, Greg, that was incredible. Absolutely. Those are the 7 mistakes to avoid when selecting a franchise. Okay. So part of what we do here at Capital Gains Tax, and just to transition a little bit here, is when we actually help people when they sell it, right? So they've 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years in the business or real estate, mostly is what we do. And they have these huge appreciations, these huge gains, right? And they're facing massive capital gains tax. In fact, I actually grew up in mostly the Bay Area, but also Sacramento, and a place called Rockland, which you're probably familiar with. In fact, we used to go to that Taco Bell there on that Bel Air on Sunset Boulevard. And perhaps it's one of the ones that you were a part of. And we grew up in real estate, we grew up in business, and we wanted to be entrepreneurial, right? And then the market crash happened in 2008, and we saw clients, friends, and family lose half or a lot of wealth quickly because they had too much debt, not enough liquidity, and they were faced with this huge capital gains tax if they were to sell. And so they're doing these things called 1031 exchanges, and they were moving the wealth. But the music kind of stopped, and then some of them literally lost everything, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So people build wealth in franchises, but what we try to teach is how to build what's called a capital gains tax exit plan. And this exit plan helps you to be a great steward with what you've built on the exit. And so my question for you, Greg, is what would you say is the biggest frustration when it comes to capital gains tax or the 1031 exchange that you've seen as it pertains to, for example, real estate, which can be very difficult to find the deal, but even businesses, you can't 1031 anymore, right? It used to be you able to do that, or even if you wanted to, it's really difficult. So what has kind of been your take on, exiting assets?
Generally speaking, what I've seen when my people are exiting their assets is the same year they try to get into another business as quickly as possible on that one. That always tends to offset things. So they look for something else they can invest in. I had a gentleman that sold his kitchen remodeling franchise after building that for 3 years. And then he just went into an even bigger franchise system, which is a trampoline park or something of that sort, where it was even bigger investment. So he just rolled all that money back into that one. The other way that you can go if you're concerned about that and you got a lot of forethought is to go look into the 401k or IRA rollover, where when you sell the business, the money that you make from it just goes back into the 401k plan.
Got it. And now, but sometimes folks may not have that, those abilities. Like we just did a business sale in Colorado, $8 million exit. And in fact, the business was a C Corp that was built for decades. And no basis left, right? Looking at about 35%, maybe 40% of the total proceeds being crushed by capital gains tax, depreciation, recapture. So what's been the way, if any, that when people come to you, you're like, okay, great, Greg, I've helped with the franchise. I built it up. I've got 25 locations of these Taco Bells, and I'm going to sell it for $12 million, $13 million, $15 million, whatever it is. I mean, what do you tell them? What's been maybe a mistake that they make when selling and having to face the capital gains tax?
Well, one thing you can do is that if you don't necessarily want to sell the whole thing, maybe you want to get in and keep a share of it or on that one. I've had some people that would stay with it for a little bit and sell off a big chunk or of it themselves, but kind of keep it with them also on that. But for the most part, most of my people just really what they've done is just really gotten into another business, especially another franchise business is what they've really gotten into to help offset. So I haven't had a whole lot of dealings with people that have just sold out and just said, end of it. I'm all done. That's it. I don't have anything else to do with my money. They've always just really gotten into something else or just sold off a portion of it and kept some of it themselves. So they're kind of managing partners.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you, are you saying they're able to defer and roll the gains into the next business? Are you still seeing that happen? Okay.
Yep. Usually always is what most of my people, I haven't gotten anybody to the end of their career where they just want to retire yet. They've all the people that I've worked with have just, even in their 60s and 70s, sometimes they'll just go pick up something else, especially one that they can do semi-absentee, and they'll just go right into that one.
Okay, so they can sell like the $10 or $15 million business, defer all the capital gains taxes, and use it to purchase another business. Is that what you're saying, or am I missing that? Because I want to make that clear. Because for some reason, I believe that the 1031 used to be able to do it for businesses, and sometimes people structure it where they say, "Well, I own the building. We'll increase the building value, and we'll sell the business at a lower valuation, and we'll 1031 the building into another building." But 1031 exchange has been restricted. And I'm going somewhere with this, by the way. We have a solution that offers a deferral with capital gains taxes without having to hop through the hoops, without having to do a 1031, without having to do a like-kind replacement requirement, without having to chase the deal quickly, immediately. And a lot of our clients are very entrepreneurial as well. They want to buy and own more real estate, but they want to do it at their own timing, right? And so we use a structure called a deferred sales trust, which allows you to exit businesses, cryptocurrency, real estate, defer the capital gains tax, and then you can sit passively, if you'd like, into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, passive real estate. You can put it into T-bills. But better than that, you can be an entrepreneur, and you can use the capital as the seed capital, all tax deferred, to build or buy a business, right? And so we had a client, for example, they sold a car wash business in San Diego for $13 million. They also owned the building as well, and they ran the business. And so for them, they're using this as seed capital to buy land at a discount and to build more car washes and start more businesses. And so all tax deferred the whole time, no timing restrictions, right? No hopping through hoops or having to chase down deals. It gives you the chance to sell high and buy low. So have you ever heard of anything like this? It's called a deferred sales trust. I'm curious if you ever heard of that before.
I have not, but I definitely want to put that in front of all my people that are out there. That is a good option for people.
Excellent. Well, appreciate that. And in the meantime, are you ready for the lightning round?
I'm ready. Go for it.
All right, Greg, knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget make sure to tell yourself to do?
Go take classes in entrepreneurship. Learn how to run a business.
Question number 2, if you could recommend one book that you've liked the most in the past year or so, what would you say that book is to recommend it for people to read?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
It's the best book. It really is. Yeah. My wife and I, we bought the game for the kids, getting out of the rat race, right? Yeah. And doing it. So we're starting to work with them on that. They're 13 to 5. So, we're working with them slowly as it works up. Question number 3, what are you most curious about right now?
Want to say it again?
What are you most curious about right now?
All right. I'm not too sure if you want the answer to this one or not, but I'll give it to you anyway. I'm most curious is how to keep my bees alive for more than a year so they don't freeze in the winter.
I'm totally curious about that. I like some good honey, Next question. Number 1 leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
Zig Ziglar, sales is something you do with somebody, not to somebody.
That's so good. Love Zig. Last question. After you've helped all the people you've helped, becoming a master in franchising as you are, and help people create and preserve wealth, live their dreams with being an entrepreneur. How would you say you best stay centered in your values and also stay encouraged to charge forward for even higher heights, Greg?
Oh, my value is just about educating people. So I just have to stay focused and centered on making sure that I'm educating people, not looking at, if I'm going to make money off them or not. I just have to look at the fact that I just need to educate people. Zig Ziglar again, you help many people as you can get what they want, you will get what you want. So that's what I do, and that's what I stay focused on.
Amazing. Greg Mohr, honestly, this has been one of the best interviews we've had. It's a wealth of knowledge and expertise. I'm so grateful for your time and expertise that you spent with us, answering and putting amazing content out there. I want to encourage you to keep using your gifts and working well with others, right? Being able to talk and relate with people, get their side and their feelings of what they're really feeling, and then be able to see them from their point of view and then make a huge difference for them, right? By unlocking what's even possible for them. Thank you so much for being on the show. For our listeners who want to get in touch with you, would you remind them one last time what's the best place for them to find you?
FranchiseMaven.com. That's FranchiseMaven, M-A-V as in Victor, E-N.com. Greg at FranchiseMaven.com, or pick up the phone and give me a call at 361-772-6401.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Greg. I also want to thank all of our listeners who are listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions Podcast, also streamed on Expert CRE Secrets Podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the deferred sales trust is an amazing way for you to exit highly appreciated assets, defer millions of dollars of capital gains tax so you can create and preserve more wealth, and or getting with Greg Mohr at franchisemaven.com to start and buy a business, right? Through franchises that are proven, that he can help guide you in that process. And it can be an amazing journey for you. I know I've been on my entrepreneur journey myself, and it's been one of the most thrilling things. And so if you're curious about what Greg has said, reach out to Greg and talk with him and see if it could be a great fit for you. Thank you again for watching or listening to the show. And we look forward to talking